Welcome back, everyone. This is Sheepdog Smokey, and this one, while it's not a surprise to me, it is very upsetting. We have women's rights, man forced to allow X to use sperm to get pregnant and then pay child support. It's right here in the picture. Keep your laws off my body. What about that man's body? What about his right to choose? For all we hear about women supposedly not having equal rights to men, it sure seems that in some cases women have more rights than men. Case in point, an Arizona court recently ruled that a woman wanting to use her ex-husband's saved sperm to get pregnant outweighed the man's desire not to become a father. Due to this court ruling, the man could also be liable for 18 years of child support. In 2014, Ruby Torres was diagnosed with bilateral breast cancer. She was told that after chemotherapy, she would likely not be able to become pregnant. She and her then boyfriend John Terrell decided to preserve some embryos that she might one day be able to become a mother. The couple would eventually marry, but then divorced, according to the Arizona Republic. During the report, Terrell wanted to make sure that Torres couldn't use the embryos to become pregnant. He brought this case to the Maricopa Superior Court, who ruled the embryos should go to a third party. Torres appealed and received a win on March 14th. The trial court ended when it placed heavy weight on the parties' inability to co-parent. Judge Jennifer B. Campbell wrote in a 2-1 decision overturning the lower court's findings, "Nothing in the record suggests that either of them expected or intended to co-parent any offspring derived from the embryos." Terrell, it turns out, originally declined to donate his sperm for the embryos, but changed his mind when Torres suggested she was use an ex-boyfriend's sperm instead. The court ruled that the couple only agreed to preserve the embryos because of the potential for Torres to be unable to conceive in the future, not for the two to co-parent at some point. In her dissenting opinion, Judge Maria Elena Cruz wrote that Torres and Terrell signed a contract when they preserved the embryos for both parents would have to provide express written consent for the embryos to be used. Torres even testified, acknowledging that we did sign a contract and we agreed to those provisions. The court has now ignored that contract, according to Judge Cruz. Do contracts matter? I believe they do, Cruz wrote. Therefore, because the contract of these parties explicitly prohibits the outcome reached by the majority, and because it is outside our purview to reweigh the evidence, I would affirm the trial court's judgment, or, in the alternative, remand the matter to the trial court for new weighing of the parties' interest. The Arizona Republic reports that this case caused state legislators, to pass a law last year that would free further individuals in similar situations from being responsible for children conceived against their will. The Republican describes the bill as requiring that viable embryos from a divorced couple be awarded to the parent who will allow a child to be born, but also states that the other parent has no rights or obligations. This, of course, won't help Terrell, who will likely be on the hook for child support should Torres use the embryos. This is, in my mind, the epitome of the pro-choice argument. It is, I have a right to choose, you do not. I have a right to choose, you do not. In this case, the man has said he does not want his sperm used. Literally, the exact argument of women who say they have a right to abort because it's their body, reproductive rights. But because this woman decided she wants to conceive using his sperm, she is allowed to force him to let her do it. He will then be on the hook for 18 years of child support. In many ways, this is rape. She is using his biological material against his will through forced obedience from a court to conceive. It is not physical rape, it is financial. Because I guarantee you, she will be collecting that child support as long as possible. I've seen this in many stories where women who get pregnant because of for any reason at all and are not married to the father never marry the boyfriend that they then cohabitate with. I've actually seen a story where a man argues that the woman is cohabitating with a man. He shows proof of this. The judge literally stated he is not her husband, so he is not required to pay for the child. You are the father of the child. You are required. A judge literally told a man, I don't care that this man who makes more than you lives in the home with the child and with the mother in a romantic relationship. Since they are not legally wed, you are required to pay child support. And yes, there are other stories where you see men post that it's their last child support payment because their ex-wife or their ex-girlfriend finally got married. In all honesty, if this man states that he does not give consent for his biological material to be used to produce a fertilized embryo that will then grow into a child, then he shouldn't have to. This is the exact argument being used by women to say that they have a right to abort, but this man has no right to prevent his sperm being used to conceive. He also has no right to even object, apparently, to the fact that this will be used against him after he has denied, after he has stated his objection to this. He'll then be financially responsible for 18 years of child support. It's unconscionable to me. I have no words, because this honestly should not happen. If you want equal rights, and the contract states you must have explicit consent to use the embryo or the sperm to conceive a child, if the man says, I do not consent, you can't use him. Now, he also should not be able to tell her she can't use other sperm. He has no right to tell her, you must stay childless for your entire life. He did object, apparently, to her using an ex-boyfriend's sperm. And I don't know why, this doesn't go into it. But he also objected to using his. They're divorced. The divorce is final. He should have no part in this argument. The judge should say, he denied it. He does not want his sperm used. He is no longer your husband. Case closed. He walks away. This honestly sounds like an episode of Jerry Springer to me. Way back in the heyday of throwing chairs and Jerry getting knocked down. And I don't know where it's going to end up. It'll probably be a long, drawn-out court case that will unfortunately gain way too much attention, and will probably gain a new Cash Me Outside Habada celebrity in the process. And honestly, this really shouldn't be that big a deal, but they've made it into one by a court case from a state court ordering a man to father a child and financially support it when he has said no. What happened to no means no. I've joked about the fact that I'm single by choice because of the insanity on all sides of the world right now. But this honestly really just vindicates my decision to live and die a bachelor. Because this is literally telling a man he is not even human like his ex is. He's not allowed to object to the conception of a child using his sperm to do so. It's one step above her physically forcing him to have intercourse with her to conceive a child. Because we've only removed the physical act. She's still forcing him to father a child with her. And this insanity that requires a state law to be passed saying that you don't have to allow a woman to use your sperm. And if she does, you're not financially responsible because she did it against your will. Why do we even need that law? Where is common sense in all of this? If I didn't know better, looking at the URL and having looked at other proof on this page, I'd swear I'm reading The Onion right now. We're living in a world where The Onion actually sounds more believable than real news, and that is just sad. But I've talked long enough. What do you think? Make sure to keep the comments classy and civil. I don't even really think there should be any jokes about this, because honestly, this is just proving truth is stranger than fiction to me. Make sure to like the video as well, and subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the content. I have several things I'm planning. One I've talked about before, where I'm actually going through U.S. history as if I were teaching but a few others that have kind of taken nest in my brain, little little plot bunnies basically, and they've taken nest, and I'm going to be looking into whether or not I can actually do anything with it. But for now, we're going to end this one here, and you guys have a wonderful week and a wonderful day, and we will talk to you next time.